Okay, so in this video, I'm going to go through the exercise I like to call transcript training, and I'm going to do a one-to-one me doing the exercise. I'm going to give you an example right now, me doing it right now on this one YouTube video I found. So you've probably seen my other videos. I talk about that I use this exercise to get me to become fluent in Spanish. Y ahora puedo tener conversaciones con los nativos y sí, me dicen que mi español es muy bueno. He hablado mucho con los nativos y como en aplicaciones como el Otoki, sí, estas aplicaciones. Bueno, en este video voy a hablar, o sea, voy a mostrarte el ejercicio que usé para aprender español y es muy útil para entender los nativos, entender a los nativos. This exercise is very useful to understand natives. And I'm going to show you one-to-one exactly what to do. So in my videos, you might see me talking about how to do transcript training or the method. In this video, literally do exactly what I do in this video, step by step, and you're going to be doing the exercise that got me to be able to understand natives and also speak more like a native. So I'm going to show you one-to-one exactly, step by step, and I'm going to go through it right now in this video. So first step is just find piece of Spanish content. In this case, I found this Hello Talk, okay? And the main gist is that anytime you don't understand a word or a phrase, for example, let's say this title, right? Then you go to this website firstly. First website we want to go to is called DeepL, and you want to just translate it simply, okay? If you don't understand anything, it's just about translation, okay? So, it is necessary to learn how to throw the row, which is probably it's probably like a phrase. So here now, I'm going to show you. So first step, literally just find a piece of native Spanish content. So it's a TED Talk, very popular one that people use. We're going to listen and I'm going to show you how to do it.
¿Cómo están?
So anytime that we hear a word or a phrase that we don't understand, we immediately want to use these two websites to understand them and understand specifically why they happen. So first we have como están, right? Now let's say you didn't know what that meant. You can first break it up, so como, and we have to put the T, so como, how, boom, how, okay, and then están, are, and this is not as clear, if you put it together, it may make it more clear. How are you guys? Now, to make this more clear, of course, it's already important to know the grammar behind Spanish, like to understand the grammar. So to understand that están is, when you're making a question, it means, how are you guys doing, right? Now, for verbs, specifically verbs that you don't understand, that you want to understand better, you go to this website. So first website is called DeepL. It's a translator, and it's good because it has alternatives, and you can also click and see the different alternatives. Now here we have SpanishDict.com. It's just a Spanish dictionary, but it has every conjugation. You don't have to specifically use this one, but I like this one because it's just the most popular one. So let's take, right? It says they are, you are, and it gives a translation, but not only that, it gives every single conjugation for it. Now, if I were to practice this, let's say this is the first time I heard como están, right? I would want to practice the different forms of the conjugation. So I'd want to say, okay, como están is how are you guys? But how do I say how are we? How is she? How is he? How are you? Do you see it? That's how we're doing right now. We're taking that one verb, one thing that we heard, but just from that, we want to understand every single other verb form from that, and that's why we use these websites. And this is because we want to instill logic, okay? So anyway, I want to stop explaining. Let me just go through this.
Ok, no me van a interrumpir mucho porque tenemos un reloj aquí que...
No me vayan a interrumpir mucho porque tenemos un reloj aquí. So in this case, let's say you didn't understand this. Again, go here, DeepL, translate it. For example, no me vayan a interrumpir, okay? So you probably know interrumpir is to interrupt. No me vayan a. If you don't understand that, then you go here and you can find the different ways. And you know that it is the voy a form, I'm going to form, but it's a command to you guys to, in the future, not to do something, because it's no vaya. And that's also why the me is there. I'm not going to actually explain every single one of the reasons why. I'm going to go through, kind of if I don't understand. For example, let's say you didn't understand the word un reloj aquí. You go here, and you write un reloj aquí. And you find a watch here, a clock here.
Y que corre y son 10 minutos y...
So, there's another one. A clock que corre, that runs. So in Spanish, you'll find that some people will say stuff like that. Que corre, the clock runs. This is really important for understanding native speech, because when natives speak, they use different words and ways to say things. For example, instead of saying I stay, they'll say I remain myself, which means I stay.
me paso hay francotiradores en cada esquina, me disparan, me matan, no estaría padre. Entonces,
So there, right there, that's one example. So she's saying like, she's making a joke like, oh, there's snipers on every corner. Please don't talk in the future. Don't like interrupt me because there's snipers in the corners. And if the clock runs out, then they're gonna shoot me. I'll die. No estaría padre. So we know that this ia means estaría. It would be. It wouldn't be because there's a no. So it would be dad, because padre means dad, means it would be nice. And obviously the negative means a negative. So it wouldn't be nice would be it wouldn't be dad. So that's like one thing, right? You wouldn't say it wouldn't be dad, but when you say that in Spanish, it means it wouldn't be nice. No sería padre.
entonces cooperen conmigo, por favor.
Entonces cooperen. Like, let's say you don't understand what that means. Cooperate with me, essentially. That's what it's saying. But in that, for understanding the conjugation, you go here to understand it. So here you can understand, firstly, all over conjugations for this cooperar. And then you can see this is what it is, cooperar. All of it is regular, so it's following all the rules.
Soy Sofía Niño de Rivera y estoy aquí para hablarles de lo que más me costó trabajo a mí aprender cuando hace 6 años decidí.
De lo que, of what costed me the most work to learn. So here, a mí aprender. This is another thing that might be confusing in Spanish to understand. Anytime we understand this, all you want to do is essentially translate it and then see, aha, if you want to say this sentence, you have to use this word. That's the sauce. That's like the main thing that we want to get down. So for example, in this case, right? Let's say I didn't know what that meant. Then this is what I would do. What I had the hardest time learning about. So that's what that directly means. Now, how can I use this? How can I understand this? Well, by just switching it up to reverse engineer it, sort of, to understand it better. So, of what costed me the most, this is easy to understand, okay? Of what costed me the most work, so what I had the hardest time, right? And this learning about is the same as a mí aprender. Now, I don't understand that, let's say. I do understand it, but let's say I don't understand it. I would play around with it. Of what costed me the most... What about money? Of what took me the most money to learn. Aha, okay. So I understand that concept now. That when you say it costed me the most, and I can put whatever. So in this case, I'm saying it cost me the most money. In her case, she's saying it cost me the most work. Directly means to my learning, okay? And in this case, is to, and me is my learn. This can be my learning. But say to my learning is the same as to say it took me to learn, right? Essentially rework it. So let's say I want to change this to a mí trabajar. What cost me the most money to work on, or a mí of what cost me the most money to eat. Like of what costed me the most money to eat. So in this case, I might be talking about something else. In this case, she's talking about what costed her the most work, like what was the hardest, like she dedicated a lot of work for her to learn.
Trabajo a mí aprender cuando hace 6 años decidí renunciar a mi trabajo, vender mi coche y volverme comediante. Hace 6 años decidí renunciar a mi trabajo.
So let's say renunciar a mi trabajo. Let's say I didn't know what that meant, right? Renunciar a mi trabajo. So renunciar is to then renounce, give up. Okay, give up my work. Makes sense. So for a lot of these, you'll get a lot of vocab down because you're just translating every single word and you're getting the vocab down.
Trabajo, vender mi coche y volverme comediante.
I actually don't know what that means. Volverme comediante. So this is a real example. I don't know what that meant. Comediante. Okay. So volver is to return. And me is myself, or me to me, myself. So return myself to a comedian. Become a comedian. Makes sense. So do you see that? The direct meaning isn't what the direct meaning is in Spanish. The direct meaning in Spanish is different, which is why, to understand the why behind the grammar in Spanish, which is why I go for that in a course I made. If you're interested, by the way, just check the description.
Y lo que más trabajo me costó fue aprender a tener tiempo libre. Les voy a explicar por qué. Cuando era chiquita, jugaba a ser adulto, como todos los niños hacemos, y jugaba a la casita, y jugaba a ser maestra, y jugaba a ser secretaria, y todos mis juegos tenían algo en común, que era que yo imaginaba ser un adulto, pero todo el tiempo estaba de malas y estresada y con prisa. Esos eran mis juegos. Porque así pensaba que era la vida del adulto y pues sí, ¿verdad? Y entonces,
Okay, so she's basically saying when she was a kid, they would play like adults, and then they were playing that the adults were super stressed, and then she's saying like, oh yeah, but we are stressed. That's like a joke, a little. That's why everyone's laughing.
cuando jugaba a la casita, jugaba a ser la mamá que regañaba a todos los niños y los castigaba.
So another one. Let's say you don't understand regañaba. It could also be that you don't understand like the actual conjugation. Then you go here and you can understand where it is found. I don't want anyone to memorize this either. This is just to remind yourself. This exercise is specifically for when you understand the grammar and you want to understand natives now. So, to scold. So, jugaba a ser, a ser la mamá que regañaba a todos los alumnos y los castigaba. Punish. So, to scold and punish the kids. She was playing the mom that scolded and punished the kids.
Castigaba y la maestra regañaba a todos los alumnos y los castigaba.
So that's the main exercise. The goal of the exercise after that, now just to understand the entire video, okay? That's the first goal. After you can understand most of the video, or there's at least some parts that you understand very well, then the best thing to do is to now close the captions and go back to see if you can understand it. Now, I'm going to continue the video because we already went through that one. But when you're doing it, go back and see if you can understand it without the subtitles.
Y la secretaria pues me acostaba con mi jefe, ¿no? Y cosas así. Entonces me di cuenta que desde chiquito nos...
So another thing there. Directly, that means I gave myself a count. But what it means is I realized. Now, to exercise this now, you'd want to change this conjugation of darse, right, to you want to change this conjugation of darse, like of darse cuenta, to give yourself a count, to realize. You want to change, okay, it doesn't have the conjugation, I should make it dar. You want to change the conjugations to different things. So in the past, diste. So if you want to say you realized, then I'd say te diste cuenta. You realized. Make sense?
Te enseñan a que lo que vale en tu vida es que toda la educación que tienes de así es para que de grande trabajes, ganes dinero, tengas una familia y te mantengas. No a que te diviertas, no a que hagas cualquier otra cosa, sino a que seas adulto, que de eso se trata. Y entonces, yo tenía muchísima urgencia de ser adulto y ya quería empezar a trabajar, porque yo veía que mi papá se iba de la casa súper temprano, regresaba súper cansado, dormía increíble porque no tenía energía para nadie más.
Yeah, so she's talking about how people, like growing up, they always want an adult, a basic adult, to essentially just get a house, get a family, just be a basic sort of adult, and that she had an urgency to become an adult. Let's say you didn't understand what she was saying there, you go back, get the subtitles, and you can understand word for word what she said.
Entonces me di cuenta que desde chiquito nos enseñan a que lo que va...
Desde chiquitos, from kids, since we were kids, they taught us a que lo que vale en tu vida, so what makes sense, what like is worth it. So actually, this is probably worth writing here. A que lo que vale en tu vida, like what is worth in your life, what you value in your life.
Lo que vale en tu vida es que toda la educación que tienes de así es para que de grande trabajes, ganes dinero,
Ganas dinero, you earn money,
tengas una familia y te mantengas.
and then you just
No a que te diviertas.
or like no te diviertas, right? So we know that divertido is like fun. So to have fun would be to diviertar yourself, or whatever verb. Actually, let's find out the verb. Actually, I didn't know that verb before. Divirtieron. What verb is it? Divertir. Yeah, divertir, to amuse, to have fun. So to have fun would be to divertir yourself, to entertain yourself, to amuse yourself, for example. Boom, now that's a new thing I actually just learned. And that's the beauty of the exercise. It teaches you the native speech. One great thing is that you learn it the way natives say it. Now the final step in this exercise, when you understand it without the subtitles, is you can actually speed up the video to make it even harder. And this is like an advanced level. This is when you can actually understand the whole video. So let's do 1.5, let's see if even I can understand it. Let's go to... Voy a decir si todavía vale la pena.
un brief que me decían, tienes que pensar así y crear así y yo voy a decidir si tu idea vale la pena o no vale la pena. Trabajaba para marcas vendiéndoles productos que yo no consumiría, con ideas que yo no estaba orgullosa.
Okay, so I kind of understand. I understand what you're saying. She's saying like she was working for these brands that like made products and sold products that she didn't consume herself, and she's kind of the context, like she's essentially talking about how she wasn't like living a life that she wanted, and the topic is like, I'm gonna decide if your idea is worth it, like your idea of like the perfect life, something like that. Let's go back again, actually. A brief that me told me.
Tienes que pensar así y crear así y yo voy a decidir si tu idea vale la pena o no vale la pena. Trabajaba para marcas vendiéndoles productos que yo no consumiría, con ideas que yo no estaba orgullosa. Y básicamente yo vivía en una libertad errónea. Todos los godines van a entender este tipo de libertad. Cuando hay un puente, por ejemplo, y dices, ¡ay, no voy a trabajar el lunes, estoy libre! No, no eres. Cuando te dicen que ya van a hacer vacaciones. O sea, básicamente la vida todo el tiempo nos está diciendo sobre...
And when you're first doing this, it might sound like impossible. When you go through in regular speed like this, and then you go through and you actually understand everything that is being said, first with the subtitles to understand exactly what is said, then without the subtitles, and then sped up, it starts to become that you understand it sped up. And once you understand sped up, then when you slow it back down to regular, it's gonna be like slow motion, and then suddenly you understand native Spanish. So that's the views exercise. Ideally, you want to understand about an hour of native Spanish content, and she does speak kind of easy Spanish. Harder Spanish, I have this video, for example, and there's final Spanish content, final accent that you find hard to understand, and practice that. The harder that it is for you to understand, the better practice it is. So that's transcript training, and I hope this video helped you, bro, and stay humble.